Hey, what's up everybody? Welcome back to the channel. You're watching Indigo Tech Tutorials. And in this video, we're going to continue on the series where we're building TikTok using Ruby on Rails. So in the last video, we had built in this comment feature, which allows you to click this comment button, and it pops up this little modal kind of thing on top of the video, and allows you to write your comments, and it also allows you to view other people's comments. So that is pretty cool. We can also like the video. So we already have these crucial parts of TikTok already built. And really, this is a crucial part of most social platforms, is having these two things. But in this video, we're going to continue on building the app and try to make it an even better platform, because there's still plenty of things for us to do and implement that we haven't implemented. And one huge thing I'm thinking that we'll do in this video is add in the profile page. So right now there's no way to go and view your profile, look at all your posts, even edit the post. Let's say you want to delete a post that you made and you don't want it anymore, or maybe even just private it. Yeah, so that's what I want to do in this video. We're going to build out that profile page. All right, I just want to hop right into the video and get started building this. So what we're really looking for is a profile page that you can view. And right now, if you click the drop down, it's literally just an empty drop down, which doesn't really make sense unless you want to sign out. So what we really need to do is have a button to go to your profile, and then we need to set up the actual profile page. So let's go ahead and take a look at what we have for the code in our app. I'm just going to open it up real quick. So if we look at the views even, we'll see that we have a feed, we have pages, which is just the home page, and then we have a post folder. So we don't have anything for users right now. We don't have a way to actually view the user. I think we do have devise actually, now that I think about it, but that's just for signing up, and signing into your account. So we actually are going to create a new controller and route to handle the user profiles. So that gives us a lot of control on how we want the experience to be, and also like how do we want the route to be if we were to go and view a profile. I think I would probably take whatever their username is and create a slug. So if you're not familiar with slugs, it basically just means a URL friendly param of the username, because let's say someone has spaces in their name, that wouldn't work well with the URL, so we have to turn it into a slug to make it work better. And it would also change it, so instead of just showing like profile/1, it would be like your name, which could be Indigo. So I think this might be a good way of doing it, just with the profile namespace. So how are we going to handle that? Well, first of all, I think we're just going to have a slug for the username. So we might as well start with that. Now you can totally just do your own implementation of slugs, but there's also a gem which I use a lot of the time, which is called friendly ID. This is very popular in the Rails community, very trusted, and yeah, I think it's pretty well taken care of. I mean, the last commit was a year ago, right? Whoa, like actually a year ago. But guess what? It doesn't really matter because Rails hasn't changed very much, and yeah, things are still exactly the same, so it's really not a big deal to use a gem like this, and I'll show you guys how we do that. So first of all, we're going to grab this gem, and we're going to go and put it in our gem file. So let's go to the gem file. Actually, we could also just do this from the terminal. Why don't we do that? Because it'll be easier if you guys are following along. So let's stop the server real quick, and I'm going to do a bundle add friendly, I think it's underscore ID. Yep. So bundle add friendly underscore ID. It's going to add that friendly ID gem. Now that was really fast. Then it's going to say that we need to add a slug column to the desired table. So for using users, we have to have a slug which is type unique. So let's go ahead and create a new migration to add that slug. So to do that, we're going to type in railsg migration, add slug to users, and slug is going to be type unique, just like that. And then we can go ahead and migrate the database, and boom, we now added a new users slug field. The next thing is we're going to generate the friendly ID configuration file and also another migration, I guess. So we'll do that. And because we have a new migration, we're also going to do railsdb migrate one more time. And boom, added a couple tables, I think, or maybe just one table and then a couple indexes. So that's cool. And then we are going to edit our user model to have these two lines of code to add friendly ID and then to set it up for whatever attribute we're going to use. So let's go over to the app models user.rb, and we could just place this in at the top. So we're going to extend friendly ID, and then we're going to do this friendly ID code. And it's not going to be name. In our app, we have username. So we'll just change that to username, and then we can leave the rest of this use slugged. Now, if we go down, it says wherever we're going to pull up the user, we could do it with friendly.find instead of the regular find. So that's all super easy. And then also, if we want to create slugs for existing users, we can just loop over them and trigger a save callback, and it'll automatically set these slugs. So let's do that first because we already have a couple users. So I'm going to do rel c to go into the user, or to go into the Rails console. And we can actually do user.count to see how many users we have. So apparently we have 13 users. And then if we just do user find each and save, you'll see it loops through all the users. And then if we check user.last, we should see a slug. So we have username, and we also have a slug. Let's see, for this one, because the username was already kind of all in one, the slug is exactly the same. But if you had a username with spaces or like something that wouldn't really fit in the URL, it's going to automatically take care of that for you. Also, it's going to take care of duplicates. So if some guy has the same username as you, the slug would be different, which, yeah, that's going to save a lot of headaches when it comes to rendering these profiles. So let's go ahead and, okay, I guess we can restart the server. Everything should still be working properly. Yep, everything's good. So now we're just going to create that route. So we need a new route and a controller and everything for the profile page. So let's go first to config routes.rb, and let's set up this route. So there's basically a lot of ways that you could do this. You know what, I'm going to put my code right up here underneath our resources post, and we could just leave the rest of it for whatever. This is like standard code. We could also get rid of these comments, but I don't really care about that. Okay, so what I'm going to do is right here, I'm going to add, there's a couple ways that we can do that. We could actually explicitly just write the get path, but I think what I want to do to keep it simple is let's add a resource profile. So I'm doing a singular resource because we don't need the CRUD functionality, which is like create, destroy, update, all that stuff. We really only need the show page. So we're going to do a resource instead, which basically just means it doesn't have, like, this isn't a record that you're going to be creating. It's just a simple controller to render something. We're also going to say only show. So we only want the show action to be made for this resource. And finally, we have to set the controller because by default, Rails is going to try to do a plural controller. So it's going to take this profile and try to look for a profiles controller. It's just something in Rails for whatever reason they do. So you have to explicitly set the controller name, which is going to be the singular controller profile, or actually profile underscore controller. But that's how you set it up right here. Now, if we want to verify this, we can simply go to the Rails console, or actually not the Rails console. Let's go to the regular terminal, and we can run Rails routes. Now, this is going to spit out a ton of routes, but if you look in here, there should be a profile action. Right here, I found it, profile action, and see it's going to go to slash profile, and it says, oh wait, no, this is totally not right. Remember how I said it's a singular action? If you do a resource, it's not expecting an ID. It's just going to give you a path without expecting any record. So that's actually not right. I gave you guys the wrong thing. My bad. So actually, it's going to be resources. But that's why checking the Rails routes can be super helpful for debugging. If you guys didn't know this, check Rails routes and see what it generates. So yeah, that was actually wrong. But with the resources, you'll notice that it gives us a slash profile path slash ID, which that is exactly what we need for our profile page to work, because what that means is in our browser URL, it would be like slash profile and then slash the name. That would come through correctly. But with the resource, it was only going to create a path slash profile, which might be fine if you're not going to share it. But since our URL for a profile is going to be able to be shared, like I should be able to copy this URL, send it to my friend, be like, hey, check out my profile. They should be able to see it. So that's why we need a actual route. So make sure that you're doing resources and not resource like I initially said. So yeah, that was a mistake. But Moving on, we now have the route set up. All we need is to create the profile controller and then the matching view. So let's start by creating the controller. Let's go over to the app controllers, and we're going to create a new file, and we'll call this profile controller.rb. And then we're just going to create a simple class profile controller, which is going to inherit from application controller. And then we're going to have a show action. Inside the show action, we're going to set the user. You can say @user equals user. And if you remember, we're going to do the friendly.find instead of just the regular find. But then we'll pass in the params ID. And the cool thing about this is it'll handle finding the slug, but also if someone for whatever reason put in the ID too, it would also find it, which can be kind of cool, I guess, as a fallback. So once we have this set up, the only other thing that we need is to create the view. So let's go over to the app views, and we're going to create a profile folder. And then inside of it, we can create a new file called show.html.erb. And boom, this is our template for the profile page. So we could just simply add a div for now. Let's do width full, height green. I'll do blue backgrounds. And I'm going to add flex call, item center. It's kind of doing some default styling. We're going to center whatever content is inside of it in center. And I'm just going to put a h1, which is our header, just some basic text so we can verify that this is working. And we'll print out the username right here as the h1. We can do @user.username. All right, so now, okay, we got to restart the server, of course. Get that going again. And I want to test if this works. So right now, we still don't have any links to profile. So what I'll do is I'll put the link in the navbar dropdown, and it'll just be a link that says view profile. So let's go over to the views layouts navbar file, and inside of our dropdown, which is right here, this is the dropdown content. All we have is the sign out link. So let's go ahead and add a link on top of here. We'll just say link to your profile. This is going to go to profile path, and then we got to pass in the ID. So I think you can just pass in current user, and it'll automatically grab the ID for that. And then we can do any styling that we want. So I'm just going to make it a little bit larger text, and I'll make it lighter since our background is kind of darker. And boom, just like that, we have a link to view the profile. If we click on that, it actually works. Check it out. This is awesome. So it actually brings us to the profile page, and everything is working just like we expected it to. So one thing, I mean, we could probably update this profile link. I don't like how there's this padding on the side, so you can kind of like click on the side and still click on the link. But that's actually not a bad thing. We just have to make it more visible for the user. So we could have a hover effect that maybe changes the background color. And boom, now when you hover, it clearly shows that you're clicking on this link, which I think is, it's not bad. Or you could do hover underline. Just more of a usual standard UI, so you know, like, okay, I'm clicking on this. And if we really wanted to get rid of this padding, we could add some margin, but I think rather than that, I almost want to center it. So I wonder if I do MX auto, if that'll center. I think it will. Boom, now it's perfectly centered. Okay, I like that actually. So we can click on your profile, and it brings us to the profile page. Okay, so now on this profile page, we can kind of think of how we want the UI to be. I'm going to get rid of that blue background right away. I think we already have a background on our site, which is darker. Yeah, there we go. So we do have this. Now, I don't think we added avatars into our app yet, so we might want to have avatars. Also, I'm noticing some stuff with this drop down. Okay, I mean, that's actually not a problem. It does close, but we never added the thing where if you click outside of it, closes the drop down, so we might want to do that. All right, I had to take a break because for whatever reason my room is really hot right now. But I'm going to try to finish off this episode where we're building the profile page. So right now we have this username showing up, which is pretty cool. But I was thinking we also should have a avatar because we don't have avatars in our app yet, and it's super easy to add that. So why don't we have avatars? But first of all, I want to add a link to edit your profile. So I think if you're signed in and this is your profile page, we could have a little edit link here. So let's go ahead and add that in real quick. So let's go back to the code, back to our profile show page, and I'm going to have a section for controls, which will only really show up if you are the user. I'm just going to have a little section here. I'm adding a max width, width and MX auto, and then I'm going to do flex justify end. And inside of here, I'm going to have a link to edit user registration path, which this is the URL that Devise gives you for editing your user account. And then we can just put the text as edit profile, or you could just say edit account. And I'm going to do just a little bit of styling. And let's see what this looks like. So boom, that's kind of what I was going for anyways, just a little edit account link. Now this is the default page for Devise. This is what your edit account looks like, and really these are more of like the advanced settings, because it also requires you to put in your current password. So it's kind of confused. It is actually super confusing. As a user, if I saw this, I would be like, what? This edit page is not really that great from Devise. So honestly, we'd be better to just build your own sort of flow than even using this, just because this is super confusing. Like, yeah, if you did want to change your email, it might be nice to verify the password, but having this all in one page is just overload. So that is one thing I don't really like about Devise. Just like they give you this basic edit page, but this is probably not even what you'd want to do for your app. So, it's pretty interesting to think about. Another option is just to have kind of like a file field on this page. If we're using drop zone, we could totally do something like that. But yeah, it's kind of tricky. I guess we could do this for now. So on the edit page, we could just put in a file field for the avatar and then call that the new feature. I think that's what I did in the Discord video. Even though it's not perfect, it kind of works. And then if you want to have your own flow for updating the avatar that's simpler, you can always refactor and add that in. So the most simplest way that we could do this is just by going to the user model. So we'll go to app models user, and then we can add in a attachment. So we can say has one attached. And then we'll do an avatar. Has one attached avatar. Now we'll go over to the controllers in the application controller. And if you remember, we were permitting keys for additional things that we want to update with Devise. So the most thing was the username field, which actually so back on the edit page, we don't even have the option to change the username because we never added that in. So we might as well do that too. But for the avatar, we can just put that for account update, since right now we might only update the avatar after you've created the account and not when you're signing up. I guess that kind of just makes sense for our flow. So now that we have that set up, we are allowing an avatar field to get passed through. And then in the model, we have the attachment set up to store the avatar. So that is all really good. Now, I don't think we have active storage in our app yet. So that's another thing we have to do is let's go to the terminal and we have to run an active storage install command. And it's just rails space active storage :install. And this will go and install active storage. Although wait, now that I'm thinking about it, since we're storing videos, we definitely have active storage already. That's why when I ran that, it didn't actually display anything. So I think we're all good there. The only thing that we really have to do is add the file field to this edit page. So we can find the code for that edit page in the views, Devise, registrations, edit. And right here, we don't really have anything. So first of all, I'm going to go to the new page. Let's copy the username field and stick that on the edit page, because of course you want the user to be able to update their username. So let's say I don't want to have Indigo Tech. I could say Indigo Tech or Indigo Tech Tutorials instead. But the problem right now is with Devise, you actually need to put your current password, which a user would have to remember, oh, what's my password again, before they can actually update. But you'll notice that it did work. Oh, another thing we could do is we can put the link to edit the account inside of the navbar dropdown. That's another good idea. So if you go over to views, layouts, navbar, right under this your profile link, I'm just going to copy that because I want the same styling, and I'll change this to account settings, we'll just call it, and this is going to go to the same path, which is edit user registration path. It's just as simple as that. Now we can easily get to the account settings page, although I want to put padding between those because those are really close together. So to do the padding, we can just have a gap 4. It'll automatically set up some padding. Okay, it looks good to me. So we can go to the profile. We can also go to account settings. And then on the profile, we additionally have an edit account link. Although we never scope that down. So I'm gonna go back to the profile show page. What I'm saying is we never check if the current user is the one who is looking at this. Because this path is now, it's available by anybody if they have the route, and I'll show you what I mean. So if I go into incognito and go to our app, actually I'll just paste in that route or the URL to, Indigo Tech Tutorials profile page. And of course, first I have to sign up. So if I sign up as Indigo's fan, let's call it. Actually, I'm kind of hot right now, so I need a real fan, but you guys are my real fans watching my videos. All right, so check it out. So if I'm the Indigo fans, I come in here. Weirdly, I can see the edit account, but then if I click it, it actually brings you to your own edit account page. So it's a little bit weird. Also, I think we could add some margin here, so it's not just like right next to the username. So let's go ahead and handle both of those things. So first of all, the margin, that's pretty easy. We could just say empty 8 or something. There we go, push it down a little bit. Now the second thing, if I only want to show the edit link to users who are, when it's your page, see how we're reviewing a user's profile page, we want to check, are you the person viewing it? Are you that user? And that's super easy to check. All you have to do is say if current user is equal to @user. It's a very simple if condition. And now it'll only show this section of code to users who are signed in as the user that you're viewing their profile. So if we reload on the left, we still see the edit account link, but on the right, we no longer see that edit link, which is perfect. So now on the left side, if we go back in here, what I wanted to do is add that avatar field. So we're going to go and add an avatar field on that devise page. Although ultimately, like I said, we probably want to move that into a cleaner feature. But for now, I can just copy the username stuff, change this to avatar. Obviously, we don't need autocomplete anymore. And instead of a text field, it's just going to be a file field. But this is just to keep it really simple. Boom, we now have this little avatar field, which is very, very ugly. I don't like that. We could probably try to fix this maybe by doing, can't really fix it that much, but we could give it at least like a fixed height and width and then do rounded full so it almost looks like an avatar field. Yeah, something like that. And then if I want to center that text, I think we can do that by doing flex item center, justify center whatever the text is inside. No, that didn't work either. So maybe not. Maybe you can't do that. Maybe, oh, you can probably use padding to push that stuff. Yeah, you could totally use padding. Although I think we're gonna have to make the width wider. Let's do width 64, height 24. It's gonna be like a weird. All right, yeah, I don't know if I like that either. Let's just put it back to the circle. And yeah, eventually we'll try to refactor this to use dropdown, or not dropdown, use drop zone. If you don't know what drop zone JS is, it's a JavaScript library. Actually, my internet is not connecting right now. Dropzone.js is a JavaScript library for uploading files, which means you can actually drag and drop your files, which I don't think you can do now. Although I think, yeah, look, that I don't know if that actually worked. Although I can't even tell. I can't even tell with this UI. Maybe I'll put it back to just a regular so I can actually look at this more. Oh, and let's get rid of that padding. We'll go back to that default styling. Okay, I guess that's not terrible. Now let's see, does it work? Yeah, it does. It actually shows us the name. And does drag and drop work? Let's see. Yeah, drag and drop does work with these default file fields. So I guess there's not really a problem, but when it comes to, let's say, displaying the preview for the image, we're going to want to do some JavaScript for that. So using dropzone.js can be nice, I guess. Anyways, the biggest problem for me right now is just having to put in the password to change something like an avatar. But maybe that is not the worst thing. Maybe that's more secure. Okay, so now I think we have an avatar. So I want to be able to display it on the profile page. So let's go over to the views profile show page. and we'll just do it right on top of the username. So I'm going to have a div class, and I'm just putting a div so that I can center the image. We'll say flex justify center. And then we'll put actually I'm going to do width full on this too. And then we'll put image tag for the @user.avatar. Of course, we want to check if the user's avatar is attached, just so that there's no errors, just in case there isn't an avatar. And then we can put a class on this. I'm just going to try to make it round. So let's do width 24, height 24, rounded full. Then we can do object cover, which means the image should fit in this element. And it, it actually works, because look, that's my face for my thumbnails. All right, not bad at all. Now, if we also wanted to put the if we want to put the avatar up here in the nav bar instead of the username, if we have it, that might be a good idea. So we can go back to the layouts nav bar, and right here, actually, where is it? It's right here, right? The span tag. We use a span tag, I guess. So actually, what we're going to do is I'm going to move the data action for toggling the dropdown, and I'm going to put this into a link to. Let's do link to, and then of course we need that same data action, so we'll do data action. So whenever you click on the link to, which click is already the default for links, so you don't have to actually specify that event. We can just say dropdown # toggle. So whenever you click on it, it's going to toggle the dropdown via the JavaScript. Now inside of here, what I want to check is if current user.avatar.attach. So if we have the avatar, let's just show that. Otherwise, we'll show this text. Sounds pretty good to me. And we no longer need the cursor pointer on this either, because a link to is already going to have cursor pointer. And then we'll put the image tag finally. We'll just do image tag current user.avatar. And because we're already checking right here, we don't have to do another check. But we will put some styling. So how big is the navbar? The navbar is 16, so we probably want to make our image at least smaller than that. So we can do width 14, height 14, rounded full, object cover. I think that should fit pretty well. Okay, that's not bad. And if we wanted to have a border on it too, we could do that. Border 2, border gray 100. That's not bad. Although I don't really think the border is necessary. Let's go back to border, not 2, but border default. Okay, that's not bad. We can even have a hover effect on it, which may or may not be cool. Yeah, that's not bad. I don't really love it though. I might rather actually change the brightness. Whenever you hover on images, I think that's just a good experience if you make it a little bit darker. Isn't that just a vibe? Probably would be better for other functionality, but I don't think that's terrible. Vibe. All right. So back on the profile page, this is pretty good, right? We're displaying, username, profile. Like this is already a great start for a profile page. And ultimately, we might even want to make it so that this is available without users signing in. Right now, you have to be signed in to view the app, which, I mean, it's not a bad thing because it's going to get you more users. Like if they want to go and view someone's profile, it's like, nope, you got to sign in first. I mean, yeah, that's not a bad thing. But the next thing that I want to do is I want to display all of the users' posts right here. And what that would look like is just a little preview of the post, and then you'd be able to maybe click on it and go to the show page and watch the post. So to do that, let's go over to the profile show page, and we're just going to go underneath the edit account link, and we're going to put a new div. On this, I'm going to put the same, not the same max width. I'm going to do max width 7XL, do MX auto. I'm also going to do padding on these sides. And for the styling, instead of doing flex like I usually do, I think I'm going to do grid and then grid calls. So it's going to separate the elements inside into 4 columns. Although honestly, there's probably enough space for more than that. You could probably do like 5 columns on the large screen, and then maybe medium, grid calls 3. And on small screen, it would just be 1. That's probably fine. And then what we're going to do is we're going to loop over all of the users posts. We can say users.posts, and I want to order them by the newest first. So do created at descending. We could just do it each do post. And basically what we're going to do is we're going to show a little preview of the post. So let's just do width full. Let's give it a fixed height. Do a little background. And let's do flex call. And first of all, I'm just going to print out the caption. I think that's what we called it, right? Caption. Maybe we called it title. Well, it'll tell us soon enough. Oh, I don't have any posts because it's a brand new post. So yeah, it is a caption. We're going to need to post something though. We don't have any posts for this Indigo Tech Tutorials account because this is new. So if you guys remember from the last video, I found this cool site called Pexels, which has free shorts. Oh, my internet's still not working. So I might not be able to download any new shorts. Come on, hotel. I think the power just went out in the hotel. It's kind of freaky. Okay, I think I can't connect to the internet right now. Instead, I'm going to just drop in one of these shorts I had from the other day, the drift short. Drifting, create the post. Boom, we just posted our new post. And if we go back to the profile page, all right, this is what it looks like. Not bad. Although the width is kind of big. That's interesting because it should be grid calls 5. Maybe grid calls 5 isn't a thing. Maybe it only goes up to 4. So that didn't really affect anything. Interesting. Or maybe the screen's just not big enough. Did I even do a breakpoint? Oh, I didn't do a breakpoint here. That's why. So I say large grid calls 5. Now it's going to be a lot smaller. Probably even do 4. And then I'm going to do on this element for showing the posts, have some rounded. Okay, not bad. We could probably make it a little bit larger too, like height 64. And now, most importantly, I want to show a snapshot, a preview of the video. And I think with active storage, you have the ability to show a preview of a video. So let's say we have like the post, it has a video, right? Post.video. So if we want to grab a preview or a thumbnail, I'm just going to look this up real quick. Active storage previews. Oh wait, I forgot I don't have internet. I think we can probably try to figure this out by hand. So actually, I'm going to go into the Rails console, try to figure this out without any internet, which, wow, it's going to be tricky. Say post.last, and then the video. So if I want to create a preview from this, it says wrong number of arguments. So I forget what arguments it expects. Maybe like the size. You know what? One thing I think I can do is I can talk to a llama. I should have a llama locally. Llama list. Okay, we have 3.2. So that's the cool thing about having a local AI model. If you ever don't have internet, you can still talk to this. Although the funny thing is I should have internet. I think I just have to, maybe it got disconnected, so I have to re-sign in. Should totally work by now. Internet, or the power just went out like maybe 30 minutes ago, so it should be set up again by now. Yeah, we just have to log in. There we go, we got it back. So I don't even need to use this, but I'm gonna just try ask real quick. So how to show a preview active storage video. Let's see if my local llama can help me. No, it says URL for. Dude, that's not right. Are you kidding me? That's what I don't like about AI. It's telling me to use JavaScript. Yo, get out of here. It has no idea how to do that. That's pretty funny. But now that we have the internet back, I can actually just look this up. Active storage preview. And right away we can find the preview documentation on Ruby on Rails. Although this Ruby on Rails website has been loading really slow for me. Anyways, let's try to show. Oh, look at this! Returns the blob's attached preview image. Oh, interesting. Let me try to do that from the Rails console. So if I say post.last.video.image, no, I meant video.preview.image. Didn't like that. Okay, that was not right. How do we get the preview for this? Preview video. See what people say. Oh, so you are gonna need some dependencies. You're gonna need ffmpeg and image magic. I think I already have these, but if you guys don't have this, you want to install it, which I think it's super easy on Mac. It's just brew install. Image magic Mac. It should be so easy. Look how easy it is. Brew install image magic. Really couldn't be any simpler. I don't know if I have it, so this is probably a good time to get it. We're gonna run this. Oh yeah, it looks like it has to get it, so that's important. We're gonna get image magic. I think I have ffmpeg because I use this for if you ever want to do stuff like create videos or encode audio and video together, you're gonna want to use ffmpeg. It's a super powerful tool. And it's also really easy to get on Mac. You just say brew install ffmpeg. I'll do that right after I go through this, just to make sure that it's installed. There, just like that, we have image magic. I'm also going to run a brew install ffmpeg just in case. And it says it's already installed. So yeah, we don't even need to do that. Perfect. So now I just need to figure out how I can get the preview. Oh, look. Here's what you do. Dot preview resize processed. And I think what'll happen is it'll actually create a record, or it'll store like a new file, and then when you pull it up, the first time it might take a second, but after that it'll load faster. Oh, it says we actually need a gem for this, image processing gem. Interesting. So I think that's already in our gem file, but it might be commented out. Let's go into our code, and we're going to go over to the gem file. I'm going to look for image processing. Okay, it's right down here. It's commented out, so I'm going to uncomment that. Go back into terminal and run bundle to install that image processing gem. And just like that, we should be good to go. So we could totally just do something like this. And I'm not even going to test it. I'm just going to go straight into the code. We're going to do post.video preview. And let's check if this works by reloading. Now you'll notice it kind of takes a second, which can be annoying. Oh, it actually gives me an error, could not open library vips. Which is weird. Vips. Okay, I guess we also need to install VIPS. Interesting. Okay. Let's do that as well. So I guess there's a couple things that you have to download if you want to do image previews for videos. But I've already ran into this in the past, and once you get these libraries installed, everything is going to be super easy from here on outwards. All right, so it looks like we got that downloaded finally. So now I'm going to restart, and let's go ahead and go back to the browser. Reload. Hopefully we don't see an error anymore because we do have VIPS. Oh wow, it's taking a while. Why is it taking so long? It's crazy. So now we get this thing, no implicit conversion to float from string. Okay, that's crazy. So apparently it's not working. Now I have an idea. It's in that Stack Overflow post, they were saying something about setting like what it's going to use for previews. So maybe in the development environment, There might be something here about image magic, or I don't know. Why are we seeing an error? Anyways, we can try to just grab the post.last.video and create a preview just like they showed. So right here, we just need that preview code. I think there might have even been an error in that guy's code now that I think about it. Thought process. That gave us, no, it still gives us the same error. No implicit conversion to float from string. But we can create the preview, but then when we try to call processed on it, it doesn't like that. Interesting. And I want to verify that this is attached. That's true. So we do have a video, but for whatever reason, it doesn't want to create. Does not want to create the URL. I wonder if we have to do this whole thing. Rails application routes and all that stuff. Let's try. We actually, oh, and instead of object, it's going to be post.last. See, nope, same error. No implicit conversion to float from string. So whenever I get an error like this, I like to just look this up online. I'll look up active storage preview. Hopefully we get some other posts, like right here, some guy has a post. It's from 6 years ago though. I already know that active storage has changed so much since then. He says, I'm getting this error after switching from mini magic to VIPS. He says, storage.yml. Let's go check out storage.yml. So if I go to config storage.yml, let's see what they're doing in here. It's really, yeah, okay. No, we're not going to uncomment that because that's just if you want to use like Amazon for file storage, which we might want to do when we post a production. This is so weird. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to take away this code for now. That's obviously not working. Reload. We should be able to reload without an error. I wonder if it's because I added VIPS. So maybe I'll do brew. I don't want to do brew uninstall though because it took a while to download that. Why are we seeing the error? That's so weird. Oh, look, it looks like we can view all of the active storage previewers, so we might want to check that out. So if I go to Rails C, put in this code, we'll see what previewers it has. So it has video previewer. It also has like a Poplar PDF, which is interesting. Now, I just want to figure out how can I create the preview. Turns the blob's attached preview image. So ideally, we could use this. Although, look, for some reason, it doesn't even let us show the source code. That was weird. Blob preview image. Interesting. So technically, if we said post.last.video.preview image, is that attached? It says yes, so it does have a preview image just like that. See, there's like some things about Rails that I don't even know, just because I haven't really messed with this in a while. Rails is a huge framework that takes care of a lot of things like, you know, preview images for videos, which is basically perfect for an app like TikTok. So let's go back here, and instead of doing the preview code manually, let's try to just do preview image and reload. It actually just returns an active storage attached file. So we more, oh yeah, because I'm just printing it out. What am I doing? I'm supposed to do an image tag on that. We got the image, no way. So it did work. And then we probably want to check if that's attached before we try to render it. Say if attached. This is pretty interesting. And then of course I'm going to do a class so I can style it. Say that I only want it to take up like height 40. Let's do object cover. Although it looks like there's a lot of empty space, but that didn't even matter. It looks like it took care of that. I also want to make it rounded on the top so that we don't have those square edges. So we could do rounded T full, or not full actually, large. That's what we're doing for the card. Do it. Now it's basically perfect and it's kind of square on the bottom, but I like that look. Now we can also style that title. So on the post caption, I'm going to wrap this in a span. And then I'm going to add a class here, text large, text gray 100. I also want to have padding on these elements, maybe not on the image, but on the rest of the content. So I might just do another flex call, and we can even do gap, and I'll do padding as well, just for whatever sort of content we want to put underneath the image, which could be stuff like we could show how many likes, how many views it has, which we haven't done anything like that yet. And then, I mean, yeah, this is pretty good for now. Oh, we should also add margin just in case right here. Let's do empty 8. That's looking pretty clean. So the last thing, well, not the last thing, but the next thing I want to do is I want to make this clickable. So when you click anywhere on this, it should just bring you to the show page of the post. So that is super easy. All you have to do is wrap our div in a link to, and then pass in post, because we already have the post path set up. So it's really as easy as just doing this, link to post. We reload. Looks like we got an error. Oh, I forgot to put a do in the link to, of course. If you're going to pass a block, you have to say do first, and then you have the end. Alrighty, and now, if you notice, you can hover on the element and you get the cursor effect, and you click on it, and boom, it brings you to the show page, which is actually perfect. Perfect. Oh, another thing, now that we have the profile page, we can make the username clickable. So when you click on the username, it brings you back to the profile of that user, which is amazing. That's something that I was gonna do, but we just needed the profile page first. So let's go over to feed underscore post partial, and we can add that in. So right here for the post username, we can just replace the span with a link to, and I'll copy the styling. So instead of the span, I'm gonna do a link to, and this is going to go to the profile path. So profile path, pass in the post.user, make this a block, and then replace the ending span with just an end embedded Ruby. And right, and then the styling, of course, we'll add a class and put back those classes that we had. And boom, we just replaced it with a link to the user's profile. And we can also do hover underline. So we get that standard link sort of vibe. And you can totally tell, okay, I can click here, go to the profile page. I think that is super clean. So now we can also add some hover effect on our post. If you go back to profile show page, that's something I wanted to do. So we could even just do the brightness thing. So if we did hover brightness 75, that's an easy way to just show that it's hoverable. Although it kind of looks weird in this scenario. So we could also do hover scale 105. Probably fine, so it gets a little bit bigger. And you know what I'd love? I would love if we could zoom in on the image when you hover, but that might be tricky. I don't know. But for sure, I want to have transition. So you can do transition all, and then set a duration. So it's not just an instant hover. It's like more of, see how there's a gradual thing. We should probably do that for all of these hover effects. Make it a little bit more clean. Those are just small little sprinkles that you can have. But I'm very happy with this. Check it out. I can go to the user's profile page. Oh shoot, we got our first error. So it says there's no method attached for nil. So I guess the preview image would return nil if it doesn't exist. So instead of checking for attached, let's just check if the post video preview image. And nope, another error. So you know what we should do probably is, I mean, eventually we probably shouldn't even use that preview image method because I don't know what that's doing. But for right now, we can just catch all of the errors on this code, which is not really a great way of doing it, but we can put the and sign, which is the safety operator in Ruby, which means it'll try to access the method. If it returns an error, it'll just return nil instead. It'll catch the error and it won't display it. So boom, this is what it looks like on this guy's profile. So yeah, this is actually kind of crazy. So they don't have any preview images for whatever reason. But there should be a preview image, so I don't like that. Also, yeah, this styling is insane. I think I forgot to put gap on our grid calls, but this must be Indigo test 1 through 3. I think this is the seed account, so this is where we had like hundreds of videos on the account. So yeah, it makes sense that would be a little bit more tricky. But one thing we could do is just have some gap to start off. So I'm gonna go up here and I'm gonna add gap. Let's do gap 8 on large screens. And actually, let's just do gap 8. I think that'll be fine. So reload. Okay, that's much better. But it's weird that we don't have the preview image. Like, why did it work on my profile page? It works, but why not this guy's page? And it might be because we created these posts earlier, so they never ran like the preview code. So I probably don't even want to use that preview image preview thing. Instead, I would rather do something like this where we create the preview. So I want to try to see if I can get that working again, because that's where we're having the error. So if I go back to my profile page, and then on the profile show page, perfect. I just want to try to, I'm going to get rid of this if statement, even though I don't want to. And right here for the preview image, let's do post.video.preview with this code. See, no, we get an error. It says cannot generate URL using disk service. Please set active storage current URL options. Okay, that's not even a bad thing. Although it's kind of confusing why that's happening. So active storage current is a Rails thing to set like the URL, I guess, to use for the active storage files. The reason why I'm confused is I thought that would already be set in the controller, but maybe the way that you're doing preview, it hasn't set it. So there's actually a helper called set current that we can run. And I don't know, I guess we're not doing that in our app yet. But what we can do is we can just go to app controllers, application controller, and put, I think you just include it actually. So we include active storage set current, and it'll set the URL options. And hey, that actually worked. I want to see if I go to Indigo test 123. Oh, look at how slow it is, because I think it's going through and it's creating previews for all of those hundreds of videos. Yeah, that's not good either. We're gonna want to fix that. Yeah, check out the console. It's just like chugging along. Although realistically, in your app, you're never gonna have you're never gonna have a user who just spams 200 videos at once, because it wouldn't be possible. They would have to go through the form. The only reason that happened in our app is because we had seed data. And what's going to happen is after it creates the preview, look at what's happening. It's storing it as a file, which means when it pulls it up next time, it's not going to take as long. So if I go back to my profile page, it was instant. See, there's no loading. It's not trying to create a preview. And this file is also the fastest one to load. If you notice, my other images, they kind of take a second to load in, but the preview one loads in very fast, and it's because it's such a tiny file. The way that we're doing it was like 100 by 100. I'm going to try to go back to the Indigo test 123. No, it still doesn't want to let me view it because there's just all of these previews. All right, forget that. Forget that. Although it's still going. This is insane. Because I don't even want that size as a preview. So it's kind of just wasted effort. Because look, it's all pixely. Nobody's going to be able to see what that post is. So we could probably at least do like 300 by 300. Reload and create the preview. Although because of this queue, it might take a long time. So I might just kill the server. Kill that server real quick. But it's interesting, I'm not seeing the error anymore. So I don't know what happened to that error. Apparently it works perfectly fine now. So if you notice, it's still a little bit pixely. Still a little bit pixely, but we're doing resize to limit. We might actually want to try to get the center. Resize in the center, because I think it's loading like the full width and height image, and if we're rendering it, of course, in this size, it could stretch it and like make it weird. So I want to center it. Let's see if we can do that. Active storage preview center image. Crop images at the center. That's what I meant. All right. Oh, I guess that's already what it does. Oh yeah, but check this out. So this is probably the better way of doing it. We can have this block on the has one attached, and then we can create something called like the thumb. And they even show this in yeah, transforming images on the Rails docs. So this is actually what we want to do totally instead. And there's all these options. So I didn't even see this part of the documentation. This is what I needed. You have crop, rotate, resize pad. Like, this is insane. This looks actually awesome. But what we probably want to do is whatever this guy said, see the variant. Although variants are different. Variants are ways that you can resize an image. So let's say you have a large image, like we probably have for our avatar, and this is an image from my iPhone, which is probably huge if we think about it, and that's why it takes so long when you reload. It takes forever. So right off the bat, we might as well create a preview for that too, which we could do with this sort of code. So let's do that for the avatar first. So let's go to the models user, and right here for the has one attached avatar, I can just add this block, and we're going to create a thumbnail, which is 400 by 400. Already that's going to be way faster. So that should be good. And then to render that, it's a shame that he doesn't show you what code to use to render it. I think there's like a special thing you have to do. Maybe it's even the variant option. Let's try this out in the console. I'm gonna try to say dot variant. So I'll say user.last.avatar.variant. And then we'll pass in the key that we use. So we called it thumb. It says none. Maybe we have to trigger a callback. I don't know. For whatever reason, it's not creating me the variant. You check if the avatar is attached at least. Oh, the user last avatar isn't even attached. So that's why. Now, I know that this account does have a avatar, so I'm gonna try to look it up. Where username. Actually, let's say user.find by username. Here. Say user equals that. And we can check the avatar. Also do avatar.variant. I think that was the idea. And you pass in thumb. We called it, and boom, we get the thumbnail. Great. So we should be able to use this in our code. I'm gonna restart the server, and first of all, let's handle the navbar. Let's go up to the views, layouts, navbar, and instead of passing in the avatar directly to the image tag, we can pass in our variant. So avatar.variant. And we'll pass in the name, which we specified on the model. See, it's just thumb. And you could actually have a couple of these. So let's say you want to have like a thumbnail. You also want to have maybe a larger thumbnail, a tinier thumbnail. You can have that all defined here, and you can, fill in these options with whatever you need. So that is very helpful. And it's going to probably speed up. I mean, it's definitely going to speed up our app a ton. Check it out. Check this out. Actually, you can see it clearly. When we reload, this one hits first, then the one that's actually displayed on the page. Now, 400 by 400, that's way larger than we even need for the navbar. So technically, we could create two different variants. We could have one for the navbar. So let's just say nav thumb is like way small, like 240 or even just 200 by 200. And then the regular thumb is 400 by 400, although I don't know if I want to call it thumb. Might just call it like navbar, avatar, profile avatar. How about that? It's probably easier than thumb. So now that we have that figured out, on the profile page, or actually let's go back to the navbar first. We no longer have the thumb. I'm going to change this to navbar variant. And then on the profile page, we're going to say user.avatar variant profile. All right, that's clean. That's very clean. Then if we reload, as long as it's set, these are actually loading at the same time, and it's very fast. A lot faster than it was. Like you could notice the delay when we were rendering the full image, and it's because it's trying to render like a whole iPhone image inside of a tiny, like we didn't need that. It was just wasted resources, wasted internet. Think about your user. If they have a low internet connection, why are you making them load a gigantic image just for the navbar? So let's go back to the post. back to the post. Let's try to see if we can do a similar thing for the post. For the post preview. I want to see if we can. Can we say, instead of doing this whole like processed URL, I wonder if we can create a variant instead. Said variant thumbnail. And then we can go and define that on the models. So actually, I'm going to copy the code from here. And then go over to the post.rb. We have this has one attached video. I'm actually going to move this down to the bottom so it's a little bit more clean. And we're going to do thumbnail. Now the problem is I don't know if this is going to work. Just saying variant. We might actually have to say like preview like they were doing. That's just, I don't know if we can just say variant. We might have to do preview. Yeah, like see they're doing video preview, same thing that we're doing. I don't know if we can do this in one of these blocks, but I want to say possibly. No, it says undefined method preview for that. Okay, so I guess we can't do that. Let's delete this code, and we can just do it in the view. I think that's probably what you're supposed to do anyways. So this was actually fine. What we had right here was totally fine, I guess. I might want to increase it to 400 by 400 though. Actually, you know what? It's not that. I want to crop the center. That was the real problem. So we have to find whatever the option is for cropping center, which they just showed it. Look right here. So I think you just shove it inside of the array with a comma, of course. Now, why is there's a typo here? Centre. What? That's a word? Centre versus center. Center is the American English spelling, while centre is the British English spelling. That's crazy. People are saying centre. So that must have been a British guy who's working on Rails, but I want to say center. Maybe just I'm American. Look, there's an error. Okay, apparently you have to say centre. Maybe image magic is created by a British dude. Okay, that actually works, and I think the pixelated, like that's pretty good. I think the image itself, or the video itself was kind of pixelated. Anyways, back to this. We now have Wi-Fi, so I can go find some free shorts. And also, I think we basically built like this whole thing. I'm pretty happy with it. Although there's probably some more things I want to do. I want to create some more videos though to test that out. So I'm gonna look up Pexels free shorts, which is the website that had all those free shorts that we can use. It's pretty cool. So I already have the coffee one. Oh, tennis short, we can do that. We can do the waterfall short. That sounds cool. I don't know about any of these. Oh, sand, that looks nice. Desert, I mean, there's a lot of people. Okay. I don't know. There's so many people there. Anyways, I'm going to try to upload some of these shorts. So we have tennis short first. So let's just say playing tennis. Create my post. Go back to the profile page. Check it out. We get 2 shorts on here. Let's upload another one. So the desert. Chilling in desert. Boom. And look, it's super fast when you reload once it creates that initial preview. So that's awesome. And like I said, if we want to show some other things, that might be the last thing I do for the video. But this is already so awesome. We built the profile page, which I'm very happy with it. Obviously, there's some things that we can improve on that we will do in later videos. And I would also love to hear your guys' feedback. But yeah, the last thing I'm going to do, I want to show how many likes and views each one has. So to do that, it should be very, very simple. We'll just go down to the section where our card is. So it's right here. If we wanted to move this into a partial, that's probably not a bad idea. Just because looking at all the code here can be kind of overwhelming. So if we wanted to just move this into a partial, super chill. So we can go to the profile folder, create a new file, _post.html.erb, drop in our code, and now we have it totally isolated, so it might be easier to look at. And we can even clean up this line. We can do this all in one line by rendering the partial with a collection. If you guys remember, I do this quite frequently on my channel. So you render partial, put the partial name, and you pass in the collection, which is the records, like this. And boom, we just refactor that to one line, and it looks pretty clean. We reload, it's still the exact same functionality. And now we can add in that content, like I said. So if we want to show, the views and the likes, let's go ahead and do that. So we'll put another div, and we'll do width full. Let's do flex gap forward. And we'll have different sections. So I'll put another div, which is also going to have flex item center gap 4. Or actually, no, gap 2. And inside of here, we're going to put an icon plus the count of the likes. So first of all, let's show likes first. So we're going to need an icon for that. So I'm going to go over to hero icons, grab a little heart icon, and drop this in. And we can do some styling. See how this comes out. So yeah, see it has the like, or it has the heart icon, and then inside the span, we can say, oh yeah, let's just put the count. So to grab the count, we could do post dot, well yeah, we just say post dot likes dot count. And I'm gonna style this slightly. So these have 0 likes. That's too bad. Let's go ahead and like my own post. Come back, and now it has 1 like. There we go. We can also display the views. So what I'll do is I'll just copy this div. Boom. And all we have to do is find the new icon. Back to hero icons. And for views, if we can find an eye, which right here we have the eye, I think that's perfect for view. Drop that in. We're going to do, wait, no, that's not the same one. I could tell it wasn't the same one because it had the same exact classes, which that wouldn't make any sense when you're copying from hero icon. So now I'm going to put in that same classes, and instead of doing the likes, we're going to do the views. So post.views.count. And boom, check that out. Although, what's weird is that when you go to the show page, that should totally count as a view, and for some reason it's not counting. And I think that's because we might only handle the code inside of the feed controller. Yeah, check it out. We're only handling the code here. So, all we have to do is basically just grab this code and drop it into the post show right here. And there you go. We are going to be able to create that view. So if I go and view the post, that obviously should count as a view, and it does. Boom, we have 1 view. Although, yeah, the way that our app is working is a user can only view a post 1 time, so it only counts 1 time. Whereas some platforms, they might count it more than once. Like, however, if I watch this post like multiple times, it might count as multiple views. In our app, it's really more specific, like 1 user has viewed it. And I think that's fine too. That might even be the way that TikTok works. So you'll notice as I'm viewing, it does update. So that is pretty incredible. Yeah, I think that's good for this episode. We added the profile page. Now, obviously, there's still some stuff that we could do, like, of course, pagination. If you remember that one guy's Indigo Test 123, his account was just insane. And oh, I forgot. We're not checking. We have to add that check back, definitely. Back on, what is it? Profile. Yeah, the profile post partial, where we're doing the post video. We definitely first need to check if the video is attached at least. There we go. Fix the errors, and boom, look at all those previews. That was fast too. Maybe because it already did it. Check that out. This is awesome. This guy has so many coffee posts because we seeded the data. Yeah, this is cool. Wait, why is it taking so long just to click on the post? That's weird. I think we're still, oh, look in the console. It's actually trying to create all these previews, probably the ones that we didn't get yet. But we actually are able to click on the post. But I think just because our server is so bloated, it's breaking the rest of our app. Which that's a reason to do pagination. So the reason why that's happening is when you load this page, it's loading all 200 records, which means it's also queuing up all of these preview processings like on this fly. And like I said, this would never really happen in a real world app because as soon as the guy creates the post, it should automatically create the preview, or at least if he views the post. And there wouldn't really be a situation where the guy has like hundreds of posts that don't have previews, at least in my opinion. That only happens because we're seeding the data. It's not a big deal. But pagination, the way that pagination would fix this is it would only show basically like maybe the first 3 rows. The rest of them would be hidden until you scroll. Then it would load up more posts on the fly, whereas our app is just rendering every single post right off the bat, which is kind of crazy, especially when a guy has like hundreds of posts. And people love TikTok so much, that does happen actually. People have tons of posts. But yeah, this seems to work very well. Now, I don't know why this is not loading. This show page should load fine. There we go. That works. You know what? I might just handle this last thing on the drop down. That's where I'll end the video off because this is kind of annoying. When I click the drop down and try to click anywhere else, it should close the drop down. That's one small thing that I always do. And to do this, we have to go back to our navbar. Let's figure out where the drop down controller is right here. I'm going to have a new data action where we'll do click. So whenever you click, actually we're going to scope it to the window. So click at window is going to go to drop down, and then the action is going to be close unless drop down. It will be a new action we define by going over to JavaScript controllers, drop down controller, and then we're going to have this close unless drop down action where we're going to check was the event target inside of the element. So we'll just say this.element contains event target. And if it was inside the element, we don't want to close to drop down. So we actually want to check the opposite. So we'll say exclamation mark to say like not this. It does the opposite. So if it was outside of the element, of course, we're going to close the drop down. But because this function will run over and over again whenever you click on anything, you actually have to, we can't just call toggle, because if we just called toggle, it would be toggling every time you click on anything else because we're listening for that global event. We actually just want to do a check. We'll check, is the dropdown open by just checking if it has the class. So if the menu target class list contains hidden, and actually again, we want to check if it doesn't. So if it doesn't contain hidden yet, then we're going to add hidden. Otherwise, we're not going to do anything. Yeah, just like that. Go back. This should work perfectly because check it out. If you click inside of the dropdown, it does not close the menu, which is good. You click outside, even slightly outside, it closes it. So that is epic. And boom, I think that's great for this episode. I hope you guys enjoyed episode 5, I think, where we added the profile page. This was an awesome one. Yeah, stay tuned for the next video where we're going to continue on the series and make the app even better. Yeah, I love all you guys. Thanks for supporting me. Thanks for watching my videos. And I can't wait to see you on my channel. Leave a comment down below, like the video, share it. Yeah, I would love to connect with all of you actually and hear about what projects you're working on. So leave a comment, and yeah, I'll see you guys again very soon.